This is my trusty bench power supply I built in the 80s. It's part of a series of projects published in Practical Electronics magazine. It's quite old now, but it still works fine. It's got two outputs, one 5-volt output and a variable output. It's 0 to 12 volts, and the variable output also has a current limiter on it. It's got quite a lot of sentimental value, as it's one of the first electronic projects I ever built. I recently saw one of these. It's a voltage and amp meter in a little module, and I decided I wanted to upgrade this power supply. I don't want to update the electronics inside because I made this as a teenager. So need to fit the display in a way that complements what I built as a teenager. I think I'm going to put it about here, which I think will look quite nice, and then I'll move these LEDs down here. I just need to look inside now and see if it'll all fit in. All the flat-headed screws, it looks like this was built in the days before posi drives. To unscrew the 4 screws in the corner, and I think that'll take the case apart, although I'll possibly just leave the printed circuit board falling onto the floor, but let's see. I'll get this done and then we'll have a look inside. I noticed a little crack in the corner, so I'll glue that up as well when I put all this back together. This has come apart. Let's have a look. Ooh! What's that? Looks like I've got a circuit diagram. Who'd have thought it? Well, that could become useful. It looks reasonably simple. Excellent. Should have written myself a little note. Obviously did that bit wrong there. And what a smell! That's a huge capacitor as well. And obviously transformer from, switch mode power supplies weren't built back then. And look at the size of these things. They're huge. Well, okay, looking at it, I think I do have room to move those LEDs and put the current and amp meter in. The current amp meter is going to show the voltage that it's current and voltage meter, isn't it? The voltage I've set here, and then it'll show the current flowing through the circuit, which I can limit with the current limiter here. So it'll be quite good in that respect. God, it's got a wonderful smell. Who'd have thought that? Okay, let me get to modifying the panel, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's modified. I was going to power the meter using the load that it was measuring, but I now realise that that load would have to be over 4 volts, and because the variable voltage output that it's going to be measuring can be as low as 0 volts, I won't be able to do that, so I'm going to have to tap into the 5 volt regulated power supply that the box also supplies. I thought I'd check it lives before I start cutting holes in it. You can see it's at 12 volts, and I can turn it down. As it happens, the voltage only goes down to 3 volts, which is still lower than the meter itself will allow, so I'm right to power it from the 5 volt supply, which is what I'll do. And it goes up all the way to 17.7. Interestingly, the little marks that I put on here 40 years ago are reasonably accurate. Well, there's a big jump there from 11 to 17. Might need to sort of look at why that is, but generally don't use it above 12 volts. So there's my 12 volt supply. Another common one will be 9 volts. and then obviously 5, which I've got a static 5-volt supply anyway. 5 is there, and then 3. So I've traced some of the circuit and found the bits that are 240 volts and just labelled them. You can see here this is 240 volts and these wires are bare. It's right next to the 5-volt switch, so not just labelling them, I need to do something else. I've made this little 3D printed part which will clip on there like that, and if I ever need to take it apart again in 40 years time, then I know what it is and it's going to be safe. Showing that it's all working, quite pleased with it. I think the look's going to look quite nice when it's finished. The project's finished, I think it looks quite good. I've repaired the corner that was broken, and I've put the little note back and added an extra little note in it so that when someone opens it in 40 years time, when I'll be well and truly gone, they'll know who made it and when it was made. Hope you enjoyed watching my update of this 40-year-old power supply, and look out for the next video.